Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today I am again with you people. I have prepared a new class for class 12th. As you know, we are dealing with electromagnetic effects of current, and our today's topic is torque experienced by a current loop in uniform magnetic field. As I already told you that when a current carrying conductor is placed in a uniform magnetic field, it experiences a magnetic force, sideways magnetic force. So if we have a loop which will consist of four arms, and you can say that it consists of four conductors carrying current, and we expect that two of the four arms will experience a force in opposite direction, and hence and the two other pairs of arms will not. They will experience a force, but their force will net force will cancel out. So what is torque? As you know that torque is an agent which rotates or tends to rotate a body, or which brings a body in rotational motion. It is similar to the force which brings a body into a linear motion. So in rotational motion, this is done by the torque. It brings a body into a rotational motion, and force brings a body into a linear motion. So we will see in this class that a current carrying rectangular loop will experience a torque when it is placed in a magnetic field. Let's consider a rectangular coil PQRS suspended in a uniform magnetic field induction B. Whether you call it magnetic field induction or simply a magnetic field B or magnetic field intensity, whatever you call it. So the magnetic field in a region is uniform, and we have placed a rectangular coil PQRS in it. Let PQ is equal to RS is equal to L. That is denote the conductor or the arm PQ by the length L. Similarly, R is by the length L. And QR and SP we denote it by length B. As in rectangular coil, you will have a length and a breadth. The longer side will be represented by length, and the short side will be represented by breadth. Let a current I follows in the loop, and let theta be the angle between the direction of the magnetic field B and the plane of the coil, as shown in figure. You can see we have a rectangular coil PQRS, and it is placed in a uniform magnetic field, and the plane of the coil. Remember that plane of the coil makes an angle theta with the direction of the magnetic field B. So as you can see that I have placed the coil in such a way that the angle theta is 90 degree. The angle theta between the plane of the coil and the direction of the magnetic field is 90 degree, as you can see from the figure. Let F1, F2, F3 and F4 are the magnetic forces acting on the four current carrying arms PQ. That is, F1 is the force acting on arm PQ, F2 is the force acting on the arm QR, F3 is the force acting on the arm RS, and F4 is the force acting on the arm SP of the coil. Now using the formula, we have a formula that current carrying conductor, when it is placed in a uniform magnetic field B, current carrying conductor of length L, and if current I is flowing through it, we have derived a relation that the force experienced by that conductor carrying current is equal to F is equal to I into L cross B when it is in a vector form. So using this relation, we can calculate the force F4 on arm SP. F4 on for arm SP is given by F4 is equal to L I B cross B, because instead of length L we have branded B there. The length of the arm SP is B. So instead of L we have to write B. And the magnitude of that force F4 is given by F4 is equal to IDB sine theta. Actually, we have calculated the magnitude of the force equal to ILB sine theta. So instead of L, we have B here in this arm, because the length of the arm SP is B. So the magnitude of F4 is ILB sine theta. Since theta is 90 degrees, so you can simply write it F4 is equal to IBB. Now the direction of F4 is in the plane of the coil, directed upwards. If you apply the Fleming's left hand rule, you can see that the direction of F4 is in the plane of the coil, means it is along the plane of the coil but directed upwards, as you can see from the figure. The force F2 on arm QR is given by F2 is equal to I B cross B, because the length of arm Q is also B, small b. So F2 will be equal to I B cross B. This implies F2 is equal to IBB sine theta. Again, theta is 90 degrees, so F2 will ultimately be equal to IBB. And if we apply Fleming's left hand rule, you know that in Fleming's left hand rule, the center finger is in the direction of the current, the first finger is in the direction of the magnetic field, and then the thumb will represent the direction of the magnetic force. So the direction of F2 is in the plane of the coil, directed downwards. Since the forces F4 and F2 are equal, as you can see from equation first and equation second, their magnitudes are equal. IBB sine theta or simply IBB. In both the cases, their magnitudes are equal, so the two forces are equal in magnitude. F4 and F2 are equal in magnitude and acting in opposite direction. As you can see that F4 is acting upwards and F2 is acting downwards, so their directions are opposite and they are acting along the same line. If you draw a line, as I have drawn a dotted line between F4 and F2, so they are acting along the same line, so the two forces are opposite equal, they will cancel out. As you can see, when the two forces are equal and opposite, we represent them. F4 is equal to minus F2, and if we take minus F2 towards LHS, it will become F4 plus F2 equal to 0. So the result of F4 and F2 is 0, which means that the arm, uh, arm SP and arm the other arm is QR, they will not move anyway. They will remain stagnant at their own positions. Now let us calculate the other two forces F1 and F3. The force F1 on arm PQ is given by F1 is equal to I L cross B, which means F1, it is F1, it is not F2, sorry, F1 is equal to ILB sine theta. Now according to Fleming's left hand rule, the direction of F1 is perpendicular to the plane of the coil, directed outwards. You can apply Fleming's left hand rule, you will see that F1 is perpendicular to the plane of the coil, directed outwards, that is upwards. The force F3 on arm RS is given by, again F3 is equal to ILB, so F3 will be equal to ILB sine theta. Again the angle theta is 90 degree, so F3 will be ultimately equal to ILB. F1 will also be equal to ILB, so I have not written it there, you will see it in the later part. of this class that theta is 90 degrees, so ultimately F3 and F1 will be equal to ILB. Now again applying Fleming's left hand rule, the direction of F3 is perpendicular to the plane of the coil but directed inwards, means downwards. Since the forces F1 and F2 are parallel, you can see they are parallel, they are equal in magnitude, and they are acting in opposite direction along different lines of action. Remember that you cannot draw a single line or single dotted line along which they will be acting along two different lines. So F1 and F2 will constitute a couple, and when a couple acts on something, a torque acts on that thing. So since a couple is two equal, opposite and parallel forces are called constitute a couple. So when couple acts on something, torque acts on that thing. So here a couple is acting on the coil, therefore a torque tau is acting on the loop. The magnitude of the torque tau is given by definition. By definition, you might have read about it in class 11th. Torque is equal to force into force R. Torque tau is equal to force into force arm. What is force arm? Force arm is the perpendicular distance between the two forces, two parallel forces, the perpendicular distance between the two forces. So we have to take either of the two forces because they are F1 and F3, they are equal in magnitude. It doesn't matter whether you take F1 or F3. And the perpendicular distance, as you can see from figure B, on the right side of the rectangular loop, here is a figure B. The perpendicular distance between these two forces is represented by Ts. It is the shortest distance between the two parallel forces. So it is Ts. The force arm here is Ts. Now, as I told you, F1, the magnitude of F1 or F3, it is ILB sine theta, theta is 90 degrees, so it will be ILB, simply ILB. So tau is equal to ILB. Now Ts, as I have done it on the right side here, we know that cos theta is equal to base by hypotenuse. That means it is Ts by Ps, that is Ts by B, which implies uh, B cos theta is equal to Ts, or Ts is equal to B cos theta. So instead of F force F1, you write ILB, and instead of the force arm, that is Ts, you write B cos theta. So it becomes ILB into B cos theta. This implies tau is equal to IB. Then I have written in the bracket L cross B cos L into B cos theta. Now length into bracket, that is area. That is area of the coil. Since it is a rectangular coil, so length into bracket is equal to the area of the coil. So it becomes IBA cos theta. Now if we draw a normal to the coil, then that normal will make an angle of 90 degree with the coil again. So if we draw a normal on the plane of the coil, it makes an angle alpha with the direction of magnetic field B. Then alpha plus theta will be equal to 90 degree, which implies theta will be equal to 90 minus alpha. So this implies tau is equal to IBA cos 90 minus alpha, because theta is equal to 90 minus alpha. So cos 90 minus alpha is sin alpha. This implies tau is equal to IAB sin alpha. But remember this thing, theta is the angle between the direction of the magnetic field B and the plane of the coil. And alpha is the angle between the direction of the magnetic field B and normal drawn to the plane of the coil. Remember this thing. Normal means if you put a pin on the plane of the paper, then that pin will act as a normal to the plane of the paper or plane of the coil. So theta is the angle between the plane of the coil, and in this case it is 90, and alpha is the angle between the plane of the coil and the direction of the magnetic field, and in this case it is 0. Remember this thing. So tau is equal to IAB sin alpha. This implies tau is equal to MB sin alpha. IA is equal to m, that is magnetic moment. Magnetic moment is equal to IE. We will derive this relation between magnetic moment m and a current in the later part of this uh, chapter. So here you just remember that IE is the equal to the product of current and the area is equal to magnetic moment. So tau is equal to mb sine alpha. And if you put it in vector form, then tau will be equal to m cross b, because m cross b is mb sine alpha. A cross b is ab sine theta. Similarly, m cross b is mb sine alpha or sine theta, whatever the angle will be. Now our next topic is moving coil galvanometer. You might have read about this galvanometer in class 10th. What is a galvanometer? A galvanometer is a device used for detecting and measuring very small, feeble, or whatever you call feasible currents. Galvanometer is a device used for measuring very small currents, feasible currents, or feeble currents. You may say that which are less than 1 ampere. Remember this thing. If the currents are more than 1 ampere, then galvanometer is not able to read that current. So if you want to measure the current with galvanometer, it must be less than 1 ampere. So galvanometer is a device which is used to measure very feeble currents, very feasible currents, or very small currents. Now every device has a definition, then principle, then construction and working. Now we will discuss what is the principle on which the galvanometer works. Now the principle of the galvanometer is based on the fact that a current carrying rectangular coil, as I told you in the earlier just few minutes back, uh, its its principle is based on the fact that a current carrying rectangular coil experiences a torque when it is placed in a uniform magnetic field. Now construction, because we need a rectangular coil while constructing this galvanometer. So that rectangular coil, if current is flowing through it, it will experience a torque. So the principle of galvanometer is based on that fact that current carrying rectangular coil experiences a torque when it is placed in a uniform magnetic field. Now construction, you can see in the field, it consists of a rectangular coil of many turners, not of one turn, but of many turners, of an insulated wire suspended between the two concave-shaped pole pieces of a strong permanent horseshoe magnet. As you might have seen the shoe of a horse, or you can go to the blacksmith, he will tell you what is the shape of it. Is semicircular. The shape of the shoe of a horse is semicircular. So here we have to use the semicircular magnet, and we have to take the rectangular coil. It must be well insulated. Insulated means if the two wires touch each other, because it is of many turns, if they touch each other, there will be no short circuit. They are well insulated from each other. So it consists of a rectangular coil of many turns, means of say of n turns, of an insulated wire. Suspended, it is suspended freely between the two concave shaped pole pieces of a strong permanent horseshoe magnet. The coil is suspended freely between the two pole pieces of a strong horseshoe magnet. One end of the coil is attached, then now there are two ends of a coil. One end is attached to a fine phosphor bronze strip which serves as the suspension part of the coil, which means that it is used to for the suspension of the coil. We suspend the coil with the help of this uh, phosphor bronze strip, and it also acts as one of the terminals for passing current, because we have to pass the current. So if you want to pass the current through anything, you need two terminals. So it acts as one of the terminals. The other end of the coil is attached to a loosely coiled strip. There is a loosely coiled strip. you can rotate it while which serves as the other terminal. The upper end of the suspension is attached to a torsion head which can be rotated to set the coil in the zero position. So we have to first set the coil in zero position. Then when current flows it through it, this needle can move up so that we can measure the current. So it must be the needle must be at the zero position. To do that, it has a torsion head. With the help of the torsion head, we keep the needle at zero position. Then there is a mirror which is fixed on the phosphor branch strip. It is fixed on the phosphor branch strip by means of which the deflection of the coil is measured with a lamp and scale measurement as shown in figure. This was all about the construction of the uh, galvanometer. Now working, how it works. We know that when a rectangular coil is placed, carrying current is placed in a uniform magnitude, it experiences a torque. The magnitude of the torque experienced by a current carrying rectangular coil in a uniform magnetic field is given by tau is equal to NIAB cos theta or tau is equal to NIAB sin alpha. Here I have introduced N because this time we have a coil of N turners. Otherwise, tau would have been equal to IAB cos theta or IAB sin alpha, as I just few minutes before we had derived this relation. Since the field lines are radial, they are acting radially here, so that the theta angle between the plane of the coil and the magnetic field becomes zero, or the alpha, that is the angle between the normal drawn to the coil and the direction of the magnetic field, that becomes 90. Therefore, tau will be equal to NIAB. If you put alpha equal to 90 degree, then tau will become NIAB, or if we put theta equal to 0 degree, cos 0 is 1, sin 90 is 1. So in both the cases, tau becomes equal to NIAB. Where N is the number of turns of the coil, I is the current in the coil, A is the cross-sectional area of the coil, B is the magnetic field, theta is the angle between the field B and plane of the coil, and alpha is the angle between the field B and the normal to the plane of the coil. Now, under the influence of the torque, the coil rotates and produces a twist in the suspension strip, which provides the counter torque tau. As when we wash clothes, then we twist it with the help of our hands, and we go on twisting. Ultimately, it stops. We are not able to twist it further, because the twist means we are just rotating the cloth which is in our hands to remove the water from it. We are just rotating the cloth. Means when we rotate something, it means with the help of our hands, we are the cloth is experiencing a torque. A torque is acting on the cloth. When we go on twisting, a time reached where we are not able to twist it further. What happens that time? A counter torque acts on the cloth. Similarly, when a torque acts on this rectangular coil, a time reaches where it is not able to rotate further. A counter torque acts on it, resulting in so it here we have a angular twist alpha corresponding to the current. The counter torque tau is given by tau is equal to k alpha. That is, it is proportional to that alpha. Let us denote this equation by 2, where k is the restoring torque per unit twist. When the coil comes to rest, then deflecting torque is equal to restoring torque, which implies tau is equal to tau dash, which implies NIBA from equation first is equal to K alpha from equation second. And when this implies I is equal to K upon NBA into alpha. which implies I is equal to C alpha, while C is equal to K by NBA is called the galvanometer constant because A cross-sectional area of the reactive coil will be constant. We know it. B is the uniform magnetic field. We know it. And I is the current flowing through the this N is the number of turns, and we know how many turns are there in the coil, and K is also a constant. So they are all constants, and when we multiply it and then divide it, we get we will again get a constant, and we denote that constant by C. So C is equal to K by NBA, and this is called the galvanometric constant. This implies I is proportional to alpha. Now, what is current sensitivity? Current sensitivity is defined as the deflection produced in the galvanometer when a unit current flows through it. That is when 1 ampere of current flows through it, and we have to see how much deflection. What is the angle alpha? Magnitude of angle alpha. A galvanometer is said to be sensitive if it produces a large measurable deflection even when a small current is passed through it. For a given value of the current I, alpha will be large if NBA by K is large. That is, if NBA are large and K is small. Thank you. Will you will see you inshallah in the next class. Thank you very much.